You need to shift the table here. Self-service.
No.
Can hear Jean's reading later. Yeah, later we can hear you read. Okay, I'll do this here. Do you want to join here? Then is it easier for you?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Lam. Probably next week I'll switch with you. I'll watch you fidget.
Alright, let's get going. Okay, welcome to lecture number 2. Okay, let me do a quick recap of what we covered last week, and then we'll pick it up from where we left off. Okay, good. So last week, what did we cover? Last week, besides scaring all of you about the requirements for the module, what I did after that was, I began to introduce to all of you what seems to be. Yes.
Mr. Lawrence, it's very muffled, your voice.
I have everything here. You did. I got this mic here, I got this mic here. Hello.
Oh, cannot hear.
Super amplified. If I may use the word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. We continue. Yeah, so I was saying about, okay, so we began our time basically for me to give all of you a definition about counseling. We found out that counseling basically is about what? It's about helping clients to manage their problems as well as helping them to discover what might be some of their unused resources. That was the first thing that we spoke about. After that, we spoke about the idea of counseling also being a very empowering occupation, where we always want clients to begin to start to help themselves. And following that, we began to talk about counseling being more of a facilitation rather than advice giving, and counseling being focusing on establishing a therapeutic relationship with our clients. And this is where we spoke at length about the word therapeutic, which basically means a form of healing, a form of helping. And based on that, what did we do? We began to look into our first set of skills, which is none other than attending skills. I shared with you that whenever you look at the word attending, you should be thinking about the word being attentive to someone. And we found out that good attending behavior comes in an acronym called SOLER, which stands for squarely, open posture, leaning forward, good eye contact, as well as being relaxed. And after that, what did we do? We tried to listen to a song together, but we failed. That's fine. Okay. We realized, right, that if you and I want to be a good listener, we have a common enemy to defeat. And this common enemy is called Mr. Presumptuous. So very important. So for us, we have to constantly be fighting against presumption so that we treat every single client as being unique. Yeah. So clients may be using common words, same words, but the meaning behind their words could be very, very different. So this is where we have to begin to treat every client as unique so that we do not let presumption get in the way for us to be a good listener. Okay? Good. So that was in a nutshell what we covered as of last week's lecture. Any comments, questions for me? Are we good to go? All my Zoomers, can you hear me loud and clear? Sweet, huh? Yes, steady. Thank you. Nice. Very good. Yes. Okay. All right, let's continue, shall we? So for tonight, my major focus will be on unpacking for you the other essential listening skills which are essential for our role being a counselor. Now, you may find that some of these skills to be very elementary. I can assure you, as we try that out with one another later, it's probably going to be quite a challenge. Okay, so we'll get to that later on, basically, yeah? Okay, let's get on to work, shall we? Okay. Right. So first up, I wanted to share with all of us a very simple elementary framework that would hopefully guide us in how we should be listening to our client's story. My friends, I don't know about you, I find that before I become a counselor, whenever I go out having kopi with my best friend, what happens? My best friend can be offloading a bad day to me. What happens? In the first minute, I will follow him along. After that, I will become overwhelmed. Information overload, right? And this is where tonight I want to share with you that as our clients begin to share with us their story, there is one particular way that we can use to be tracking the conversation. Simple framework, I can get it, that basically will help you to get your way. Go ahead. Just come in, don't feel shy. Yeah, don't worry about it. I won't be offended, don't worry. Okay, so here we go. So let me get to the whiteboard and we talk about it. So I need to just press right, then you activate off. Okay. Okay. What? Nice. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we go.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Yes.
You're still now.
Sorry? Yeah, kasi macam can't really see very well. Okay, let me increase the thickness. Okay, try again. Yeah, increase it. Okay, let me try again. Okay. Is it better? Good, thanks. Oops. Oh, okay. Score again. There goes the silence. Am I? Okay. So first up, what I wrote on the board is basically about this particular word called story. Now, I am personally a person who likes to use the word story to describe about what my client brings to the table whenever they come for counseling. I usually don't like to use the word problem or the word issue because problem and issue sometimes begin to belittle the client. Because if I use the word problem and story, sometimes I become literally very not empathic to whatever my client is coming in to see me for. So for me, I actually prefer to use the word story because it's basically describing about what the client is going through. And to me, that's more respectful. To me, that could be a lot more empathic, in my opinion. Okay, good. So for me, whenever my clients come in to share with me any story, what do? I want to pay close attention to 3 components within my client's story. What are the 3 components? First component is about this idea called key experience. Key experience. So, what do we mean by key experience? Very simple. Key experience basically refers to what seems to be the main theme of the story. What seems to be the main crux of the story? What seems to be the main point of the story? Now comes the best part. How do we know, isn't it? The client goes on and on and on and on. Alamak, how do we know what seems to be the main theme? How do we know what seems to be the main crux, isn't it? So now I want to offer to you 3 guidelines that may inform us what this might be the main theme of any story. First guideline is a very simple one. The first guideline is all about the big R word called repetitions. What do I mean? When your client keeps repeating over and over and over and over and over and over and over a particular word, a particular theme, more likely than not, that is probably the main theme within the story. Got it? So the first thing to remember, look out for, listen out for repetitions within the client story. Number two, watch out for changes in the client's non-verbal behavior. What do I mean? Last week I mentioned to you about this particular theory called Gestalt therapy. Remember? I mentioned that last week to you? So this is an idea that's being borrowed from there. Where sometimes when the client begins to show us some subtle changes within their facial expression, guess what? That might indicate that, that subtle non-verbal change may indicate a main theme within the story. Example, let's say I'm talking to you about my day. Suddenly, I frown. And then I continue talking about my day. Guess what? The sudden frowning may indicate that something is there. The sudden frowning may indicate that there is a main theme within that particular story. Alright, so there will be something which I'll be paying close attention to as a result of that. Then the third guideline to remember is whenever there are changes to the verbal intonations of the client. What do I mean? Well, verbal intonations could refer to volume. Means what? Client may become louder, or he or she may become softer. Or verbal intonations can refer to the speed. Clients may suddenly fasten the speed, or they may suddenly slow down the speed. Example, if I were to talk to all of you, today my day was, if I suddenly were to speed up my speed, maybe, just maybe, that portion where I speed up my speed might just be indicative of something main over there. It could also be, I thought, what happens? That portion where I slow down might actually be indicative that there might just be a main theme over there as well. And for me, sometimes, personally for me, I tend to be rather loud. So whenever I suddenly become softer, my wife tells me, that tends to be the main theme. I didn't even know that until she tells me. So that's what happens to me. So I can be talking in this volume. The moment when I become softer, that more likely than not, for me personally, could just be the main theme within the story. Got it so far? So these are the three guidelines which might help you and I to become more aware of what might just be a main theme within the client story. Okay? Good, continue. Now, besides listening to the main theme of the story, there are two other components which I also want to pay close attention to within my client story. What are they? The second component is all about this idea called key behaviors. And the third component is all about this idea called key feelings. Okay, so I say again, the second component which I want to pay close attention to would be what seems to be the key behaviors within the story. The third component is all about what seems to be the key feelings within the client story. And now comes the interesting part. You will find that the key behaviors and key feelings, these two components tend to be connected and linked to the key experience. In other words, put it simply for you to understand, all three components tends to be interrelated with one another interconnected with one another. Okay? So let's try this out, shall we? I'm going to give you a make-up story. See whether can we decipher what seems to be the main theme of the story, the key behaviors, as well as the key feelings within my story. Okay, let's try this out. Huh? Good. Okay. Hello, hi, welcome. Yeah. This morning, I went to work. My boss, for no rhyme or reason, scolded me badly. I felt very angry at him. I threw a foul at him. I stormed out of the office. Now, what do you think is the main theme within my story?
Angry?
Okay. Main theme? Scolded by boss for no reason. That's the main theme. As a result of that, I felt very angry. What is that? Key feelings. I threw a foul at him, stormed out. What is that? Key behaviors. Got it? So all three components are all interrelated with one another, and they all formed this particular simple story of mine. Okay. Now let's do something interesting. I hope it's interesting. I would like us now to get into groups. So Sylvain, help me to break them out into groups if you can. Good. So how many of us are? Okay, maybe you can get into gangs of 4 if you can. About 4 to 5 people if you can. That'll be helpful. I'll get into gangs first. I'll tell you what to do. Or I'll leave Sylvia to get them into groups as well. So find your gang members.
Group of 4, yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 depending on how many people there are over the Zoom. So, okay, good. All in gangs ready? Then help me to upload the active listening 1. Good. Okay, so here we go. Wait, let me come out. I want to go back to my slides. And am I? Let me come to you. I'm going to come to you with a handout. Make sure each of you have this handout. Okay, coming to you. Okay, good. 5, okay, good. Yeah. So 5 and 4 here. Okay. I'll tell the exam paper. Okay. Come 4 here. Thank you so much. 4 here. Is it 4? 4. Steady. 4. Good. Nice. Water fingers. Thank you. Over here, I'm assuming it's 5. Is it 5 or? I don't know. Oh, never mind. That's fine. I'll just pass it to you. You'll figure it out. Okay. Come. Thank you. I'll just pass it to you. There's 3 of you, I suppose. Come to you. Okay. Alright.
The 4 is the one we have today, right?
No, the one that I sent you last week.
Okay.
The active listening one. Handout one. Okay. Now, could I invite you to turn the page of this particular handout, if you can? Turn over the page. Now you notice, my friends, that this particular handout consists of short case studies. Notice that? You notice, right, that after each case study, there are 3 blanks. Notice, first blank, client's key experiences. Second blank, client's key behaviors. Third blank, clients. How does a client feel about these experiences and behaviors? We call that key feelings. What's what you mean? Good. In a moment, I would like all of you in your groups to look at case study number 1. Number 1 is found at the bottom of page 27, followed by case study number 3. Number 3 is found on page 29, followed by case study number 4. Number 4 is found at the bottom of page 29. Got it? So read through the case study, focus on what is there, try to decipher what is the client's key experience, key behaviors, as well as key feelings. Also, you mean? After that, discuss, and then we talk about it later on. Okay? Good. Get down to work. All right, Zoomers, I hope you are with me. So case study number 1, 3, and 4. once you're in your groups, try to decipher what seems to be the key experience, key behavior, key feelings for these 3 clients. Oh, aside, come here. Thank you. I want to show them a slide. Okay, that will help them out. Okay, hang on. Okay, I want to close it off. Okay, let's close that. Good. Okay, good. Now, how do I bring? Now it's still on the. Now it's still on the. How do I? Okay, good. Okay. 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 I want to show this to. Okay, I want to share this to the breakout rooms. Okay, be done. I'll show you. Okay.
Not be able to.
It's like.
Okay.
So don't today I did my research. So okay, share. Sweet. That's why I did my research. Okay, I updated one. So if you are lost on the board, it will tell you 1, 3, and 4. Let me give you a clue. Number 1, quite tricky, especially the key experience. So discuss a bit more for you got number 1, the key experience. It's a bit tricky. 3 and 4 straightforward. Number 1 a bit more trickier. Now you know. Now you can tell what the other lectures. No, but it's okay. I'll let you know. Good. I know my stuff. Yeah, right. You let me know. Yeah. Even when I do Zoom teaching also, I'll say I'll be keeping short of time for you. Don't worry. So yeah, good. Now it's 7:25. Okay. Yeah. Steady lah, Mabel. Sweet. Yes. You sort of get it right already. Yes. Very solid. Very good. You're there already. Yeah. 20. Okay. Yeah, 还是好，我弄坏了 ，sorry。但那个，对 ，that's what happens to starless。对，那好像断了，我们这个断了。OK。OK，那就好。Very sharp paper. Very sharp. So some of them didn't join the groups. Some of the Zoomers didn't join. Alvin, Villa, Dennis. Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Alvin, Dennis. Okay. You should be moving to number 3 if you can. Number 3 if you can. You can tell them several more minutes. Several more minutes. It's your turn now, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, that's good. Sometimes also because they never use earphones. A lot of them they don't use earphones to hear.
Lawrence, we cannot hear you.
So Lawrence, you're on mute.
Oh yeah, correct. Okay, now you should hear me. Okay, hear me? Can steady. Thank you. Okay, so let's begin by looking at case study 4, shall we? Number 4. So, what is this 64-year-old man's key experience? The main theme of the story. Being told that he has terminal lung cancer.
Yeah.
Very important, my friends. The word terminal has to be there. Without the word terminal, the experience will become very different. Okay? Good. As a result of being told he has terminal lung cancer, what did this man do? Key behaviors. What did he do? He cried. Number 1. What else? Denial. Okay. Some more behaviors. That's right. He went to church. He sat for hours in church. Did he not? He cried. Very good. And I suppose another behavior seems to be more mental. He seems to be questioning, isn't it? Questioning about why, how come, why, isn't it? So a lot of questioning was being done. A lot of venting probably was being done somewhat. Okay? But the key behaviors are what you all said: crying and sat for hours in church. Very good. Now, how about key feelings? There's one major key one. See whether can you pick it up.
Feeling hopeless.
Okay, hopeless is one. Very good. Hopeless is one. Very good. What else? Failure. Okay, is the other? Fearful, frustration. Okay. Yeah, those are there. But there's one major key one. Uncertainty. Yep, it's there as well. But one more. Denial. Yeah, complicated.
Anger.
Yes.
Anger.
Loss.
Anger. Yeah. Okay. Anger is there. One more. Very key one.
Loss.
Loss. Okay.
Resentment.
Right?
Resentment.
Resentment. Quite close. Quite close.
Unfair.
Yes. The word.
Unfair.
That's right. Unfairness. Now, which part was it? Susan? Or was it who? Charlotte. Okay, steady. Okay, now,
Charlotte.
which part of the case study, Charlotte, gave you the idea that unfairness was the one? Which part of the case study? Charlotte?
Why me? Why
Why
me?
me?
That's right, my friends. In future, when you encounter clients who tell you, why me? Why not Mr. Lam? Why me? Why not CK? Whatever. So it tells you that behind the why me usually is a sense of unfairness, injustice. Of course, there will also be some resentment as well. But in my opinion, the key one is really unfairness. Why do I say that? Take a look at the case study. There's a statement that says,
I'm just familiar to you guys.
even before that, he said, that line, why me? I don't smoke or anything like that. Notice that? That statement, I don't smoke or anything like that. That tells you already, right? That in his mind, since I never smoke, why should I be stricken with terminal lung cancer? It's so unfair. All my friends who smoke, bo tai ji. Okay, means no problem lah. I never smoke, kena terminal lung cancer. Where is the fairness? So that statement already tells you that the why me feeling is probably very much unfairness. Charlotte, well done. Sui, well done. Okay.
Somebody's skills really good.
Okay. So, can you all see the 3 components link up together in somewhat? Good, moving on. Now we get to number 3. Number 3. What is this woman's key experience? The main theme of the story. Yeah, so I suppose, link up to that, I guess best friend turning her back on her will be one key one, but there's another part to it. Now, it's one thing to be betrayed by a good friend, right? It's another thing to what?
Turn your back on it.
Yeah, so that will be one. It's another thing when your best friend don't tell you why, isn't it?
Silent frustration.
Isn't it, right? Because you see, me and my best friend Lam, right? If one day he turned his back on me, at least I want to know why lah. Vice versa, if I turn my back on him, at least I should let him know why, isn't it? So I guess one thing is she was being betrayed by the good friend, but it's another thing for her to not being told why. That becomes important because as you look at the key behaviors, you notice she's basically what? Speculating, isn't it? She's asking herself, wow, you know, how come, you know, this neighborhood full of spiteful gossipers, she should have believed me instead of them. She was basically going on this vent of knowing why was my good friend betraying me, basically. So that was the key behavior, basically. She was basically speculating how come her best friend decided to turn her back on her.
And she went back one round actually. You know, she did say towards the end of this dialogue, right?
Yep.
She could at least tell me
That's
what's
right.
going on.
You got it, that's right. You got it. So that tells us already, right? That's probably one of the main themes already, isn't it? That while she's upset that her best friend turned her back on her, she's probably more upset that she never had the decency to tell me why, I suppose, right? Oh, good. Nice. How about feelings? If your best friend did this to you, how will you feel? Walao, that's right. I like that statement. Walao. Walao encapsulates the whole feeling, isn't it? Walao. You know, that's right. Okay, walao will be. So what will be behind the walao? The feelings. Yeah, I suppose that'll be one. Indignant.
Confusion.
Confusion, yeah, because I don't know the reason why. Very nice. That'll be one. What else? Yeah, definitely deeply hurt, I suppose. Yeah, I guess the word betrayed probably will sum it up somewhat. Yeah, so betrayed, hurt, yeah, disappointment maybe. Yeah, best friend never have the decency to tell me why, that kind of thing. So all these feelings becomes important. That's fine. Good, nice. Zoomers, okay? So continue. Now we come to the tricky number one. So, what is this 40-year-old woman's key experience? What do you think? Yeah, I'm not looking at Mabel, but she got the answer, so I'm looking at the rest. Yeah. What do you think this woman's key experience is?
Marriage issue.
Sorry, again?
Marriage
Again?
issue. Marriage issue.
Marriage issue, okay. Color of a life gone, okay, good. Other choice? Tell me more. Yeah, there it is. Tell me more.
I just wrote that though.
Okay, so sessions. So what about the sessions? Tell me more. What about the sessions?
Oh, the sessions helped her out a lot.
Alright, yes. Other choice? Any other choice? Any other differences? Okay, my friends, the reason why I said that for this case study, right, it's a bit tricky is because for most of us, right, when we read any case study, we think that it will be all about problems, correct? All about bad things, all about issues, isn't it? If you look at this case study carefully, right, you will find that there seems to be two key experiences, one minor and one major. For those of you who are as old as me, right, you can remember, many years ago, there was this particular TV program called Extreme Makeover. Remember that? I come out, whoa, new person. That will be what I will sum it up for this particular client. Before counseling, no color in life. After counseling, whoa, freedom, isn't it? So same thing here. Over here, right, there is a before and there's an after. But the main key experience here is really the after. Why do I say that? Because 3/4 of the case study talks about the sessions. If you look at the whole case study, only one line talks about colorless, no children. But the majority of the case study talks about how counseling sessions was beneficial for her. That's why that is the main key experience in the case study. All still with me?
Yeah.
Good. As a result of counseling sessions being helpful to this lady, what were the key behaviors that came about?
Enjoying her work more.
That's right, enjoying what more? Very nice. What else? That's right. Husband and I, we are talking more seriously and decently. What do you call that? Behavior, isn't it? So those are all very important behaviors. Nice. How about feelings? As a result of sessions being helpful. Satisfaction, that's right. What else?
In control, feels free.
Key one, freedom. Freedom. Okay? George Michael, freedom. Freedom! That's right. So that seems to be the main key feelings. Let's link up to the other two components. So far, still with me? Okay. Now, I shall attempt to play for you all the second song. Alright, man. Now, last week, the song was my time one. Must be fair, Tonight, the song will be your time one. It's a bit rock, so all the older, I know, no one older than me. So basically, I'm the oldest here. So it's not for the faint-hearted. So I'm going to get you to do a few things. Number one, good. Now, I'm going to play for you the song in a moment. I'll be passing out the song lyrics to you. Your job is one. Listen carefully to the song, read through the lyrics, try to figure out what is this person's key experiences, key behaviors, and key feelings. Got it? We will talk about it after that. All clear, my Zoomers? Okay, so in a while, Sylvia will be uploading the lyrics to you all. Listen to the song, read through the lyrics, figure out what is this person's key experience, key behaviors, as well as key feelings. We will talk about it after that. Okay, so here we go. Don't play. We need to pass down for me. Pass down for me. Yep. Okay. Wow, thank you. Okay, bye. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay, I have to share screen, right?
Yay!
Share already, steady, Okay, so I play, Wait. Where is the play button? I have to go here.
How many more?
I just press here.
Come back here.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Okay.
That's coming back to you, is it?
Pause up. Okay. I'm fine. That's the issue about Zoom. Have to take care of a few things. Sometimes it's a bit difficult. Yeah.
Be left out in the dark, to be kicked when you're down, to feel like you've been pushed around, to be on the edge of breaking down, but no one's there to save you. No, you don't know what it's like. Welcome to my life. Do you want to be somebody else? Are you sick of feeling so left out? Are you desperate to find something more before your life pushed around to be on the edge of breaking down, and no one's there to save you. Now you don't know what it's like to be hurt, to feel lost, to be left out in the dark, to be kicked when you're down, to feel like you've been pushed around, to be on the edge of breaking down, and no one's there to save you. Now you don't know what it's like. Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life.
All right. Let's talk about the song, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Simple plan.
Yeah.
For those of you who work with parents, you may want to get parents of teenage children to listen to the song. Perfect. Wow, steady song. Whenever I do parenting talks, I will normally play that song for them to hear, usually. Okay, now there could be a few key experiences here. There could be a few main themes for this person's life. Let's try to just decipher a few of them if you can. So anyone can chip in.
Don't you belong?
Don't feel belong? That could be possible. Very good. What gives you this idea that this might be the main theme? Which part of the song tells you that?
Which part?
Ah,
Like somehow you just don't belong.
okay. Somehow you just get the sense of that he doesn't belong, right? Good. Other people? Yeah.
You don't know what it's like.
Ah, so when someone keeps telling you that, what is the underlying theme behind that?
I'm like,
Okay.
I do sound.
Okay.
Is.
Ah.
Give me a minute.
It's okay. No problem. Put you under pressure. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Spot on. When someone keeps telling you, you don't know what it's like to be like me. The message? You don't understand me. You have no clue what my life is about. You have no idea what I'm going through. So, my friends, remember what I told you just now? One of the key guidelines they will tell us, repetitions. This statement keeps repeating over and over again. Besides the chorus, isn't it? This statement, you don't know what it's like to be like me, that seems to be the one. That is really the main theme here. Now, link up to what she said just now about don't belong. I kind of feel that another key thing is this person might even be bullied to some level. So the bullying could come in different forms. It could be isolation. It could be some physical bullying, we're not sure. But I think the theme of this person undergoing some bullying probably is there, in my opinion. Okay? That's another key experience that comes out quite strongly through the song. Now, sorry.
It's a very well written song.
It is.
From the perspective of a teenager.
Agreed. Totally agree. Now, as a result of these two themes, what were some of the behaviors that this young man did, or young woman did? That's right, the first answer, right? Oh, lock inside the room. What else?
There's also saying that you've been pushed around.
Push around. Some more. The part. Lelio. You saw one? Lelio on loud. My mom always say the Lelio. So more likely than not, one of the behaviors was he blasted the Lelio out loud. More likely than not. Then there's another one. Scream, isn't it? So that could be a behavior as well. So with the Lelio up loud, he might be screaming, isn't it? So that could be another behavior as well. There's one more. If you scroll down the lyrics, you will find, you may think that I'm happy, but I'm not going to be okay. It tells you what? He's faking it. On the outside, all of you think, I'm okay, man. I'm doing well, man. But in reality, I'm rotting inside. I'm decaying bit by bit. Oh, got it? Yeah. So just today, before I came to teach, I was supervising a supervisor of mine who was counseling a 10-year-old boy. Just today, he told my supervisor, I do not belong to this world. This world is not my world. I better leave this world by tonight. 10 years old. Straight away, my supervisor, Mayday, text me, Lawrence, how? Wow. So of course, I gave her some ideas what to do. But my friends, I don't know about you, I find that more and more primary school children, those of you who, I know that some of you who are working with children, right, you probably will know what I mean. I don't know why. There seems to be a trend that our primary school kids are talking a lot more about suicide. Talking a lot more about the world is not my place. And that worries me quite a fair bit, to be honest. Right. So I remember a couple of years ago, there was this particular trend that teenagers was comparing self-harming. Hey, wow, your cut not deep enough, mine deeper. Wow. So at that time, right, we were going crazy managing those cases. And then that sort of passed a little bit. Now it's about working with young children who are talking about suicide, which really worries me personally, generally. Okay, good.
Why do you think this happened?
2 reasons, if I may put it down. First, I got a feeling that some of these young people, young children, they might be talking about it as part of a fad, F-A-D. Because let me qualify myself, because there seems to be more and more young children talking about this. It's like, oh, this world, no lah, better leave lah, better leave. So after a while, right, it becomes cool to have such thoughts. It becomes cool to even converse about leaving this world. That's one. Of course, the other one will of course be pressure lah. Pressure from family, pressure from studies and all that lah. So that could be the other. But in my opinion, the fat reason seems to be one of the major reasons that's out there. Okay?
And the increase of social media to young kids,
I would think so.
that they find like TikTok is trending.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure you all know, right? There were quite a few accounts of people even broadcasting how they killed themselves. Remember, there was a case that came about. So it was really, so it's rather disturbing, if you ask me, generally. Okay, how about feelings? As a result of these 2 themes, feelings. The chorus, I suppose, right? Chorus, feels lost, left in the dark, kicked in the butt, and all that. Those were all the key feelings there.
There's also one was like, I feel there's a bit of jealousy.
Yes.
They say no one ever lies to your face, no one ever starves. So, like, I would like you want to have this life that he doesn't have.
Yeah, that's right. I guess there are 2 statements, right? No one ever lied in your face. I think that tells me that he was being lied to.
Yeah.
I suppose. So that further tells me about the theme of him being bullied. The theme of him receiving quite bad treatment from some people, generally. So I guess that sort of adds to the theme about him being mistreated, about him being bullied, about him being victimized in some levels. So that sort of backs it up a little bit more. Okay, good. So once again, can you all see how the 3 components are linked up with one another? That's the most important. Okay, good. Zoomers, all still with me? Okay, good. Now let's do our first role play together, shall we? Good. In a moment, I'm going to be getting all of you to be in pairs. I will leave it to Sylvia later to get you all to be in pairs as well, Zoomers. But before we do that, I want to share with you a slide to let you know what to do for the role play. So here we go. Okay. Comes here. You share screen also. Oh, you can see that. You can see how? Good. Okay. Could I invite all of you to read through this slide carefully? Okay, all done reading? Yes? All done reading? Good. My friends, you will discover, right, that the role plays you'll be doing with me would appear to be rather artificial in the beginning. Let me share with you why, okay? I'm a firm believer that the best way to learn skills is we practice as we go along. Reinforcement. So you'll find, so far, right, I've shared with all of you attending skills plus listening to the three components within our client story, isn't it? So I wanted this role play to reinforce whatever that I shared with you so far, so that I'll build on it as we go along the way. Okay, so explain a bit more to you. In a moment, I'll be getting all of you to be in pairs. I would like you within your pairs to take turns to be both a client as well as a counselor. When you are the client, I would like you to share an event or incident. It could be a positive event, it could be a negative event, it could be a neutral event. I leave it up to you. But the event that you share, I hope, will contain the three components that I shared with you so far. There should be some theme, there should be some behaviors, there should be some feelings. Just share that with your partner when you are the client. Now, as the counselor, what are you to do? Very limited things, to be honest. First, you cannot ask any questions. You can't even do this, I cannot. Cannot. There will to be no verbal connection whatsoever in the beginning. What are you to do? You are to use your physical attending skills, your SOLER, to attend to your partner. Number two, as your partner tells you his or her story, you are to pay close attention to the three components. What seems to be the main theme here? What seems to be the behaviors here? What seems to be the feelings here? Got it? Without asking any questions, without making any verbal connection. Once your partner finishes the story, all my counselors, come in to check with your client. Oh, was your key experience this? Oh, was your key behavior this? Oh, was your key feelings this? Check in with your partner to see whether have you gotten the three components correctly or not. Once you have done that, change over and do the same thing again. All clear what to do? Okay, steady, Okay, the people over here, you are more than welcome to use the chairs outside if you want to, and also the bench outside if you want to. If the room over here is not occupied, feel free to use that as well. Because I think it's a bit crowded here, so feel free to use any parts of the room here if you want to. Okay, so time-wise, I would like each way to be about 5 minutes, both ways to be about 10 minutes. We'll come back and we'll talk about it. Okay? Okay, all my Zoomers, I hope you are clear. I'll leave it to Sylvia to get you to be in your pairs. Thank you so much. Okay, no problem. We'll do. Okay. I counted, it's all 20 people, so no problem. Okay, so good. So get into your pairs. Feel free to leave the room if you want to. Yeah, go for it. Okay. There's a chair outside, there's a chair in front, you can do that. Good. So make sure you have some gaps in between if you can. That'll be good. Okay? Right. Good. Oh yeah, that's right. So one you can come over if you want to. So you can be a pair. You want to? Up to you. Oh yeah, sorry, but I didn't know. Sorry. Up to you. Then you can pair up if you want to. Good. Okay. Right. Okay. No. Let me share. Share again. Okay, you all can go up to you. The first part is here. We call it passive listening. Passive listening. And so far, I shared with all of you that there are two skills that we can use under passive listening. What are they? The first skill is all about SOLER. Our physical attending behavior. We listen using our body. SOLER. The second skill is as our client shares with us their verbal story, we are to listen into the three components that I shared with you so far. What are they? We have KEs, KBs, and KFs. Thank you so much. KEs, key experiences, KBs, key behaviors, KFs, key feelings. So far, still with me? Okay, Ken? Good. Now comes the best part. Just now, Adeline said something which was very insightful, and likewise for the girl over there as well. Now, when we think about listening, we tend to think that it is a very passive activity, isn't it? Just sit there, listen. Who don't know? Correct or not? Sit there, listen, 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 and listen. But guess what? If your counselor only do passive listening for the whole entire hour, how would that be like for you? You want your money back, isn't it? Money back! Oh, so easy become counselor, I also can. Correct or not? So what do I mean? This is what I mean. No matter how attentive we are, my friends, at some point in time, our clients need assurance. I may look superbly attentive, but after a while, my client will start to wonder, while Lawrence looks attentive, is he really getting it? Don't complain. Okay, good. Is he really getting it? Is he really hitting the nail on the head? Is he really understanding the main point? They need assurance. And this is where I intentionally wanted all the counselors to do what at the end? To check in with all of you, the three components. By doing that, I wanted to highlight to you that that behavior falls under the second component of listening, which is, that's right, active listening. Active listening. So my friends, punchline number one comes. If you want to be a very good listener, it's not about either or. It's not about either I am a very good passive listener or I'm a very good active listener. Cannot. It's about what? Both. We need both to do well in counseling. We need both to do well to be a good listener. It's never about either or, it's always about both ends. That's the first punchline to remember. Second punchline. Now, second punchline. The percentage of passive active listening tends to fluctuate for different clients. Means what? Some clients, they want you to do 70-30. 70 passive, 30 active. Other clients, opposite. 30 passive, 70 active. Walao. That is what makes counseling so exciting, but yet so hair-pulling. Just when you thought, wow, you got the right formula for this client, next client proved you totally wrong. That's why I always say that counseling is so exciting, but so stressful as well. Because you can never say that you're an expert. Never. All of us, Lam included, I say for him, all of us, no matter how many years in the field, we can never dare say we're expert because our expert lies based on the last client. Once you see a new client, we start all over again, period. We start all over again to gain trust. We start all over again to make a difference. Every new client is a new journey. Got it? That's why the percentage has to be figured out as we go along the way. Third punchline to remember. I'll come to you in a moment. The punchline to remember. Now, your comfort level in doing which part well has a lot to do with your personality. Let me say a bit more. If you happen to be an introvert, you have no problems doing what? Passive listening. If you are like me, die-hard extrovert, walao, you have no problems doing active. But now comes the best part. Either or wouldn't make us a good listener. That's why in our journey together, you would have to figure out which part of these two components you would have to work harder in. So I remember in my first 2 years as a counselor, my supervisor's comment is always very simple. Shut up and listen more. Always one. If you ever watch me first 2 years, wow, I'm too ashamed to show you my tips. It's always shut up and listen more because I can't wait to talk. I can't wait to ask questions. I can't wait to come in to offer my views. Can't wait lah. So every time, supervision, after that, shut up and listen more. Shut up and listen more. Because that was my problem, because my extroverted self gets in the way. My good friend, not Mr. Lam, another good friend of mine, introvert. You look at his tape, you want to fall asleep. He'll be sitting there, very attentive, until I feel like dozing off. Excellent listener. But at some point in time, his clients wanted more direction. What I didn't say just now. That becomes important. Got it? Good. Now let me ask a question. Counselors, what was the hardest part of the role play just now that you have to do? As you think back, sorry.
Not nodding my head.
Not nodding your head? Okay, good. Okay. So you wanted to nod your head, basically, yeah? Okay, good. Ken, what else? As you think back the whole role play as a counselor, which part of that role play was the hardest for you? The most difficult?
I think, sorry, Julian.
Go for it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Julian.
Let's go ahead.
Recalling the client story.
That's right. Have to we remember basically, have to recap. Okay. It was not that easy, huh? Good. Mandy? Where is it? Yes. Sorry. Is it Mandy? Sorry. Is it Mandy? No, sorry. Mabel, sorry, Mabel. Mandy. Mabel. Yes, Mabel. Yes. Yeah.
I think it's staying in the present.
That's right.
But at the back of my mind, I remember my job is to check for the three
Okay.
things. But the staying in the presence is harder for me.
Yes. Me too.
Yeah,
Also.
me too.
That's right. Yes.
Actually,
Yeah.
when I was talking to you, I had like half of my head was putting the information in the
Yeah.
activity, and the other half
Yeah.
was like, okay,
That's right.
okay.
Yes. I saw that. I could literally see my counselor like, all the dots, she's
Yes,
trying
yes.
to connect them.
Got it. Yeah, that's right. My friends, that is probably one of the hardest thing to do. Some of us, right, as we are in the moment, we are also thinking about what questions to ask. For this role play, can I ask questions, ma? So that's clear cut. I throw it out of the window for you already. But in reality, right, when you're counseling people, while you are trying to be in the here and the now, being present, your mind will literally be going to what questions to ask. Some of us might even think, what diagnosis should I be giving this client? My good friend will probably think about that. Or it could be whatever. So it's really not easy. And the more practice you do, hopefully it will come a bit easier for you. Yeah? Right. Okay, I pause. Questions for me about the role play? Sumas, things to ask me?
I just have a comment.
Go for it.
Before I forget,
Yes.
I think from here, the difference is listening is not the same as hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the difference? You ask you.
Hearing means I can hear you very well,
Yes.
although you're wearing a mask, I'm not on Zoom.
Yes.
But listening here is more complex. It requires me also trying to decipher, to infer, to analyze, and maybe to raise questions.
And also to begin to listen with a heart. Listen with wanting to listen to the emotions behind the words. Wanting to listen to the meaning behind why the client say these things. Listen with the intention of wanting to be even more curious about what was being said. So I guess pretty simply is listening comes with an attitude. Whereas hearing might be functional. This here. That's right. But listening comes with a lot attitude where I want to know more. I want to empathize. I want to really enter your world. So I think that's where I think listening becomes so much more powerful than just normal hearing.
I think it also takes a lot more energy.
It does. Very much so. Yeah. That's the reason why I remember that. How many of you here are being insured by Prudential? Prudential? Prudential?
I'm not sure.
Now, you all know what is the slogan behind Prudential? The slogan is
I hear you.
always listening, always understanding. So I remember when I first encountered my financial planner, I put it to the test to her. You wouldn't want to be my financial planner. Walao, wow, I really test So I asked her, I understand that your slogan, always listening, always understanding. Then she looked at me, yeah, that's it lah. So you can bet I was really, so she was a good listener, no doubt about it. But the understanding part took her a while. I must give her a lot of credit, took her a while. Because if we are good listeners, the understanding tends to come eventually, more often than not. More often than not. So we'll get to that after break later on. Okay, good. Now, a few things to take note. After break, I'm going to show all of you a video. Through the video, I want to highlight to all of you what are some of the common techniques that falls under active listening. After that, I'll begin to talk more about those techniques in a moment. Okay, so that'll be what's going to happen after break. Okay, good. Let me check my time. Now is okay, 8:35. You can be back in 15 minutes. We'll pick it up from there. So I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. All right, good. Well, 8:35, right? Okay, that's good. Okay. So far, okay? Okay. You got the materials? Okay, welcome back. Most of us are back, I think. Good. Nice. Okay, what's going to happen now is I'm going to show all of us a short video. Two things to do. First thing, as you watch the video, you'll notice that there will be techniques that will appear at the bottom of the screen. I would like you to copy them down if you can. That's the first thing to do. Second thing to do, if you are able to pay attention to what the counselors say through the responses, it'll be good for you to pay attention to that. Okay? So first thing, let me introduce to you who will you be seeing. Now, you'll be seeing okay. The counselor's name is this guy by the name of Alan Ivy. Okay? He's probably one of the most renowned counselor trainers in the States. So you get to see him in action. And the client's name, his name is Hodges. Hodges. Okay, good. It's going to be a very short clip. Next week, when we come back together, I will show you a very, very, very solid and long clip between these two guys. But today, it's just a very short clip, just to get us started to look at these ideas.
And Hodges is really his client?
Yeah, it's really his client. It is really his client, that's right. Next week, when you show you this other clip, wow, you will hear Hodges talk about a very traumatic story that happened to him. And yeah, so I'll leave it to next week. Yeah, so it's a real client. Okay, let me get to the video. Now, good. Okay, so share screen. Yeah. Oh, share screen. Yeah. Good. Okay, so here we go. Nice. Okay, good. So Hodges and Ellen.
In this next tape, Hodges, Glenn, and I are going to do a demonstration of the basic listening sequence. What I'm going to try to do on tape is start by asking an open question, followed by a closed question perhaps, and then an encourage, then I want to paraphrase, then I want to reflect feeling, and then I want to summarize. And possibly after the summary, I might ask for a specific example. But I'm going to go through the basic listening sequence in order. I want to demonstrate that the skills can be used with reasonably good effect in a sequential basis. And we'll talk about the value of this a little bit later.
Okay, here comes the session, a short one.
Hodges, could you tell me how things are going for you on your dissertation?
Well, it's pretty rough right now.
Pretty rough?
Yeah, I'm at the final stage where some minor corrections need to be made, and the university has this book of standards which require that the dissertation be in a specific format for turning it in.
So you're getting at that final stage and you just about wound up.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go on?
Yeah. Well, the frustration is there's all of these picky details. My response is, what difference does it make? The content has been approved and it's been signed off by the department and by the graduate school, but before I can actually be awarded the degree, I have to make sure it's in this particular format for the graduate school to accept it.
So it sounds like you're a little bit frustrated, maybe a little bit angry.
Yes, I am, right, because it's a very time-consuming process and a very resource-intensive process. Requires that I spend a lot of time in front of the computer making sure that the format changes are correct and a certain type of paper needs to be used with a certain type of printer. I mean, it's just very specific details.
Now let's see if I've got this correct. So I've heard you say that coming down to this final stage of the dissertation, you're running into the university bureaucracy, nitty-gritty, got to meet this specific requirement and so forth, and a new one comes up now and then, is that right? It leaves you feeling kind of frustrated, sometimes a little angry. Have I heard you correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And that is the basic listening sequence.
Okay, we'll come back to this later. Let me go back to my slides. Okay. All right, good. Okay, now, forgot. Okay, sorry, let me go out again. Okay, let me go back to my whiteboard. This one, right? Okay, it's there. Okay. Okay, so based on what you saw on the video, okay, what seems to be the list of techniques that you copied down just now? The first one? Yeah. Open question, isn't it? Open question. Oh, you can see. Second one?
Encourage.
Thanks. Encourage. Okay, good. Thanks. I disappear for a while. Okay. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Let's try again. Encourage. The third? Paraphrase. Thank you, Eugene. The fourth?
Reflection of
That's right. Reflection of feelings. Short form, ROF. And the last one, summary. To check accuracy. Okay. Is my list the same as yours? Yep. Steady. Good. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is this. For the rest of our time tonight, my major focus will be on how can we go about using encourages, how can we go about using paraphrases, how can we go about using reflection of feeling statements. After that, we'll do a group discussion together. We come back. If there's time, I want to unpack for you how do we go about doing summaries. And then we'll do a role play, see how the time goes, and then we'll call it a night. Okay? So that's how. And next week, we'll come back together. I want to focus our whole entire session looking at the art of asking good questions and how do we integrate everything together in a proper conversation. So that's what I'm hoping to do. We'll come back next week for our third lesson together. Okay, good. Without further ado, let's get straight down to work. Okay, so here we go. All right. Okay, first up, let's talk about the first active listening technique. It's called encourages. Alan Ivy used the word encourage. I use the word encourages. They mean the same thing. Now, just by looking at this word encourages, you probably would know that counselors use encourages for what? Is to encourage our clients to tell us more, isn't it? So encourages are used for only one intention, which is we want to encourage our clients to tell us more. So I'm going to share with you 3 techniques, 3 very simple techniques we can use to encourage our clients to tell us more. Let's begin with the most elementary one, shall we? Most elementary, over here. I call it our mm-hms, our ahas, our sure, our I see, our okays. So I say again, the most elementary way of encouraging clients to share more is when we do our mm-hms, when we do our ahas, when we do our okays, when we do our I sees. Okay? My friends, if you have a strong calling to do phone counseling, now I don't know about you, the pandemic has really, once again, make phone counseling to be back to the globe. Because I don't know about you, pandemic is all about Zoom. It's all about phone. Physical, at one point in time, it was actually close to impossible to do physical counseling. And if you happen to be doing phone counseling, you will know that if the counselor remains silent for the whole entire time, the client will wonder what? Are we still alive? Are we still awake? Isn't it? So you will find that especially over phone, our mm-hms, our ahas, our sures, our okays becomes even more critical than ever before, basically. So let me share with you a bit of guidelines on this, okay? Now, when we are doing the aha, sure, okay, I see, first thing to remember, please make sure you always do a variety. Don't do this, Okay. 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 After a while, okay also becomes not okay lah. So in other words, right, sometimes use okay, sometimes use I see, sometimes do sometimes do aha, right? So make sure we do a variety of encourages rather than just use one type. That's the first thing to remember. Second thing to remember, be very, very mindful about your tone of voice when you do encourages. Now, I don't know about you, I tend to stay away from using the word sure. Because the word sure sometimes carries an idea of I doubting the client. Example, you say something like, sure. It's like, macam I'm doubting whether you are telling the truth or not. It's like, sure or not, kind of idea. So I tend to stay away from using the word sure. Now, for all other encouragers, if I were to be you, try to make sure you end off the encourager on a low tone rather than on a high tone. Example, I wouldn't say, After a while, it will sound rather irritating. I would say, When I say okay, okay. rather than okay. So because the whole idea here is when we end off on a high-pitched tone, more often than not, after a while, it will become a bit gelat. It will become a little bit irritating, especially if I'm coming in already feeling rather irritated, already feeling rather anxious, already feeling rather down. Shall we have another example? This one, my best friend will second that. When we counsel people who are struggling with schizophrenia, we have to be very mindful about high-pitched voices. What do I mean? Some clients who are battling with schiz, if we happen to be using high-pitched voice, that literally may trigger them. Trigger them to do what? To do a few things. They may lose their cool, they may start to shout, they might even become physically threatening. You never know. So that's the reason why, right? For those of us who tend to have high-pitched voices, you have to be mindful about them. You have to be mindful in trying to keep them lower so that it does not irritate your client as a result of that. Okay, follow me so far, my friends. That's the first thing. The second, remember? Third thing, remember? Always make sure that you space out your encouragers. I do not believe that clients, right, need us to do encouragers for every sentence they tell us. I think that will be overkill. So make sure you space out encouragers so that it doesn't become an overkill. Okay, good. Moving on. Now we get to the more advanced one. This one. Repeat keywords or statements. Now, whose keywords are we to repeat? Client. Got it? So it's all about repeating client's keywords or client's key statements. Just now in the video, what was the question that Ellen Ivy asked Hodges? Could you? That's right, blah, blah, right? Good. So Ellen Ivy actually asked Hodges to tell him about how was his dissertation coming along. My friends, what does the word dissertation mean? Assignment, that's right, assignment, very good. It's probably a longer assignment. For those of us who are aspiring to go and do masters, go and do doctorate, my friends, you better be ready to do a 30 to 50,000 word dissertation, or even a longer one, which will become a thesis. So I remember when I did my master's dissertation was about close to 40,000 words. Almost died. I told myself, never again. So far, I have not done any more dissertation. Basically, but I can almost imagine that for some of us, that's really, really a big challenge. So very important. After Ellen Ivy asked Hodges, could you tell me a bit more about your dissertation? What was Hodges' reply? He said, pretty rough right now. Heard that? He said what? Pretty rough right now. Now, if you were to be Ellen Ivy, your client told you, pretty rough right now, would you have any clue what he meant? No clue. What did Ellen Ivy do? He basically repeated back to Hodges the same two words. He said, pretty rough. What happens? Hodges went on to elaborate on what he meant by pretty rough. Got it? So this is what we mean. Sometimes words that we hear that we don't understand, what do? We simply repeat it back to the client with the hope that clients will then elaborate. Clients will then be encouraged to tell us more about what that particular word means or what that particular phrase actually means. Now comes the application. My friends, before we repeat back any word, we have to first ask ourselves, would repeating back this word encourage more sharing or discourage more sharing? Let me give you an example again. Let me use a whiteboard, use some examples. Okay.
All right.
Yes. Come. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 Right first. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Let me try again. Okay.
I'll go and find a word.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, good. I'll try again. Okay. Okay. Now, quite a while ago, I have a chance to see a young man. Actually, a young boy lah. Okay, young boy. He was about 14 when he came to see me. And he came because he was, as you can see, he was getting into quite a lot of trouble with teachers in school. So after talking to him about, I think, 2 sessions, finally, the 3rd session, he made a statement. He said to me, Lawrence, let me tell you, all teachers, let me tell you, all teachers are creeps. Now, when I heard this statement, I asked myself, okay, what word should I repeat back to him so that he would be encouraged to share more? Let's talk about this a bit more. Now, there are at least 3 possibilities. First possibility, I can throw back the word all. Second possibility, all teachers. Third possibility, creeps. Which one do you think would encourage him to tell you more? Now, answer? Creeps. You know why? It's because if I were to throw back to him all or teachers, he might start to think that Lawrence Ho is taking the side of the teachers. That's what I mean. When we want to repeat back clients' words, we first have to discern, we're throwing back this word to the client. We're repeating back this word to the client. Will that encourage him to say more or discourage him from sharing more? Not every word that we throw back will encourage more sharing. Sometimes it may actually work against us rather than work for us. Got it? So very important. So make sure you discern before you throw back the word to the client. Yes, go for it.
But if you take that word creeps, wouldn't it be a bit better to say the whole entire sentence but with a question mark at the back?
Okay. I guess for me, will be this. As I throw back the word creeps, my tone of voice has to be one of curiosity. Example, I say, creeps! Finish lah. I don't think he'll ever say anything. You have to say, creeps? I sound a lot more curious. So now I'm really inviting him to tell me more about what he meant by the word creeps, basically. So very important, when we throw back any word from the client, the tone of voice has to always be one of curiosity, never one of judgment. There's always remember things to remember. Okay? Good. So that is the second way of encouraging more sharing from our clients. Yes, go for it.
When you say creep,
yes.
Did that young boy go on
to
give
you examples?
Okay. And that's your intention achieved.
Yes, you got it. So I wanted him to really tell me and in fact, I think he probably was quite happy. Here's an uncle who want to hear more about what I meant by creeps. He probably thought that I would humdum him. Hey, don't be so rude, what creeps? He thought I was going to humdum him. I didn't. I somehow asked him to tell me more what he meant by creeps. So I think that really got him pretty happy that at least I wanted to really understand him rather than to shut him down more. Good. Okay, now we come to the third technique under encourages, the hardest one, in my opinion. Yes. That's right. the use of silence. My friends, what has silence got to do with encouraging? Can someone explain to me? What has silence got to do with encouraging people to share more? What's the link?
It means you agree.
Sorry, it means what, sorry?
You agree to what the person is saying.
I agree what the person is saying. Okay, possible. What else? No interruption. That's right. My friends, now comes the important thing to remember. In counseling, the questions that we ask clients are usually not easy questions to answer. Not like, where can we get the best laksa in Singapore? It's quite difficult to answer also, the question. Not that easy, you know. Where can we get the best burger? Wow, not that easy to answer. But more often than not, when we ask clients a question, it's usually what? Questions that they probably never hear before, or let alone answer before. So can you imagine, if I were to ask a question to my client, I demand immediate reply. How do you think the client will feel after a while? Macam going for exam, isn't it? So this is where, right, in counseling we found, we have this idea called the golden rule of silence. What's the golden rule of silence? 10 seconds. For some of us, it felt like 10 years, 10 days, 10 hours. Correct or not? But guess what? If we want to encourage clients to give us meaningful answers, we have to learn to stay with silence. We have to learn to allow silence in conversations. Got it? Because in my opinion, if we can do that, more often than not, you'll find that your client's answers will tend to be a lot more reflective, a lot deeper, and in my opinion, a lot more meaningful, because they take the time to say before they say it to us, basically. Got it? That's important.
It's a little bit like the classroom.
Yes.
In a classroom setting where you have wait time. The golden number, I think, which very rarely hit, is 25 seconds. No ways, Jose. No teacher would wait 25 seconds for someone to respond.
Good point.
10 seconds is long just now, actually.
Actually, quite long.
Very long.
Quite long, Now, if you happen to be counseling an introvert, sometimes 10 seconds will still be too short. That's why, as you let the silence carry on, you also have to pay attention to the non-verbal. If your client appears to be very reflective, you know perhaps extending the silence will be the right thing to do. If your client appears to be like, fidgetive, it's like macam the silence is killing him or her, then maybe I may want to come in to cut the silence. So it's always about looking at silence in the context of the client's non-verbal. That will guide you in, should I extend the silence or should I begin to break the silence? Okay, follow? Now, how about extroverts? Let me teach you a trick. What's an extrovert now? Extroverts, right? When you ask me a question, within 2 seconds, I will tell you an answer. But my first answer usually is not the best. Why? Extroverts, we want to engage the world. We want to engage people. What do? We say something without thinking one. That's why introverts always say about us, you all empty vessels, make the most noise one. Which I tend to think is a little bit true. Our first reply normally is, we want to engage you. But it may not actually be the truth. It may not actually be what it really represents in my heart. So for extroverts, right, as they come in very fast, what do? You focus on their next reply. Their next reply. More often than not, their next reply, the next reply is probably more zun, more accurate, more representing what they're trying to say to you. Whereas for introverts, very deep one, they spend the time thinking, thinking, and when they open their mouth to say something to you, you know, that has come with reflections. That has come with much deliberation. And more often than not, you can take that to really be what they meant more often. Got it? So very important. The 10 seconds rule is something which I abide by a lot in my work. Sorry, there was a question for me.
What about those people who are still quite ambivalent, you know? They are not here, not very extroverted, not very introverted, they're just in the middle, very hazy.
Okay. Usually, right, when they begin to give me a reply, I will still want to see how their replies are in the context of the non-verbal. If they appear to be, well, Lawrence, I suppose I am, then I want to read it out. I want to really allow more silence to take place so that they can begin to formulate their words together. Yeah, so more often than not, that'll be what I'll do usually. Okay? Good. So that, my friends, are the 3 techniques that we can use to encourage our clients to tell us more. Zoomers, things to ask me. Okay, moving on quickly. Now we get to paraphrasing, something that's very familiar to all of us. Let me talk about it a bit more. Now, first thing, paraphrasing is not parroting. I say again, paraphrasing is not parroting. How many of you ever reared a parrot before as a pet? Anybody? Oh, steady. Could I ask a bit more? How was the experience like for you, the two of you? Yes. For you a bit?
A bit annoyed.
Okay.
But cute in a way whereby you might never know parents can actually learn way more things faster than
humans does. Really good,
Yeah.
Okay, fine. How about you?
Same cute, actually quite cute.
Cute,
Yeah.
Did the cuteness outlast after a while?
But because it's bird, so.
Okay. Got it. Can. Now, my flat is a common corridor flat. So me and my lorong of neighbors are very close. About 6 years ago, 2 units away, my neighbor decided to rear a parrot for a pet, white color one. I remember the day when the parrot arrived, macam got block party, you know. Wow, we were at his house. Wow, we look at the bird. Wow, we say, ayo, so cute, ayo, so cute. 3 months later, if you ask me, if I can be brutally honest, there were days where I feel like murdering the parrot. Why? I'm by nature quite loud, as you know by now. So I'll be walking along the corridor, on the phone, I will say, okay, all right, sure. Parrot, okay, all right, sure. Walao. Feel like murdering the parrot after a while. Now, technically speaking, right, the parrot is quite a good listener. He's able to repeat back every word I say. By right, I should feel listened to. By right. But why is it that I didn't feel that way? It's because when we repeat back every single word to our clients, sometimes it may appear as though we are making fun of them. So when the parents say, okay, all right, sure, it's like, walao, trying to make fun of me lah. So sometimes, right, we repeat back every word to the client may think, are you a parrot or what? Are you trying to make fun of me or what? So sometimes they may begin to feel offended rather than feel listened to. That's the first thing to remember. Number 2, what makes parrots potentially irritating is the high-pitched voice. All right! High-pitched voice, right? That's why, a lot of times, right, when we do paraphrasing, try not to kill too many birds with one stone. What do I mean? Some of us, right, when we do paraphrasing, we want the paraphrase to also be a question. Example, example. Oh, sounds like your marriage is on the rocks. Oh, sounds like your work is really terrible. Notice, what am I doing? I want my paraphrase to kill two birds. First bird, my client feel listened to. Second bird, client can then answer my question. Now, if I were to be you, if you can, try to avoid that. We leave paraphrases to be paraphrases. If you want to ask questions, we ask questions. So for me, I will always do paraphrasing this way. I'll make sure that my paraphrase ends off on a low tone. Oh, sounds like your marriage is hitting the rocks. Low tone. Oh, seems like you're going through a hard time at work. Low tone. Oh, it seems to me that you are really struggling with your depression. Low tone. So that after a while, it doesn't come across as being irritating to my client.
So basically, we are just being very monotonous lah.
There's still feelings there, but I want to make sure that the ending of the paraphrase is at least not on a high-pitched tone, so that it doesn't become too irritating. But there's still some emotions there generally, basically for me. Okay. Third thing to remember. Now, okay, go back to the board. Back to my whiteboard again. Okay. Right. Okay, good. Okay, now draw through a line. Okay, good. Now, imagine that a paraphrase is on a line, a scale. Okay, on one end, use all of client's words. It's very faint now. But fullest already. No. Right, it's okay. Okay? Can you all see? Use all of client's words. Very big area. Yeah. Okay? That's one end. We just got to know that this shouldn't be the case, because if we were to use every word from the client, we will be no different from a parrot. So this one, out. Out. Now, what do you think would be on the other end on the scale? If one end is, I use every word from the client, what do you think will be on the other end?
Don't use any word.
Don't use any word from the client at all, isn't it? So on the other end, that's right. Over here, it will be use entirely counselor's words. This one, also out. Why? Clients may feel that our paraphrase does not resonate with them. Out. So what then is the secret to a good paraphrase? It's the middle. Yeah. We want to use a combination. Meaning, it should be a combination of the client's words plus our words. When it's a combination, more often than not, our paraphrase will kind of resonate for the client. Got it? So that's always the rule of thumb to go for. Then one more thing to remember. Notice, when you hear counselors do paraphrasing, we always like to use what? Words like, sounds like you are, looks like you are, it seems like you are, I hear that you are. Why? Why do we always want to begin paraphrases this way? Sounds like you are, looks like you are. Why? Yes?
Well, I find it safer.
That's right. You got it. Nice word, safer. Another word for it, tentative. Now, the whole idea about paraphrase is we want to check. We want to clarify. Since I'm checking, what am I saying? I'm not sure, ma. I'm not 100% clear. So better sound tentative than to sound absolutely sure. For whatever reason, right, when we sound absolutely sure, it comes across with a very bad aftertaste. When we sound tentative, it sounds a lot more respectful, isn't it? So the whole idea here is we always want to make our paraphrases sound tentative rather than absolutely the truth. So that clients can have the freedom to affirm us if we are right and correct us if we are wrong. Got it? So that's something else to remember as well. Okay? Good. So far, still with me? Okay, moving on. Now I want to share with you a technique which means a lot to me. It's called reflection of feeling statements. Take a look. Which it is? We'll talk about it. Half an hour more. Okay. Okay, all done? Let's talk about it. Okay, we'll do a group discussion together. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, now. Nice, okay. Okay, good. Okay, let's try. Okay. Okay. Now, I just explained to all of you paraphrasing, isn't it? I just got you to read reflection of feeling statements. First and foremost, let me comment a bit more about the commonality. Means what seems to be common between a paraphrase and a ROF statement. Commonality is all about intention. Means what? Whether we are doing a paraphrase or we are doing ROF, the intention is we want to show understanding. We want to show clarification. We want to show the client that we are listening to them. Intention, the same. Whether we do paraphrase or RF, the intention is the same. Now, what seems to be the major difference between these two responses? It lies in the focus. So what do I mean by focus? Very simple. When we do paraphrasing, the focus is on getting the facts right. Whereas when we do ROF, the focus is on getting the feelings right. Got it? So I say again, when we do paraphrasing, it's about getting the facts right. When we do ROF, it's about getting the feelings right. Feelings. Right? It's about getting the feelings right. Okay? So, you're probably going to ask me, right, Lawrence, why your counselors are so leceh one? Leceh means troublesome. Right? Why must use both? Why don't just use one? Now comes the reason. We found in counseling that the amount of empathy when we do paraphrasing is quite different from when we do ROF. Means what? When we get the facts right, empathy level maybe 5 lah. When we get the feelings right, empathy level maybe 8 or 9. In other words, when we get the feelings right, clients tend to really feel connected, understood by us. Much more than just us getting the facts right. Can you all follow me, my friends? But now comes the challenge. What's the challenge? Being an Asian culture country, more often than not, clients may not tell us feelings. That's why, for us, we want to first get the facts right. From the facts, getting it right, we might then infer what the feelings might be. That's why, for most of us, we have to use both to really show understanding towards our clients. Okay, quickly moving on. I'll share with you something. Come. Okay, can you help me to share the diagram for them? Okay, passing out to you my next handout. Quickly. Before I get to the group. Just pass out for me. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah. Okay, coming to you. Thank you. Come here. Thank you. And yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Come stay with me. Stay with me. Coming around. You should be coming around. Thank you. Come here. It's a lot. Oh, come. Coming to you. There you go. Anyone else? Oh, come. Just nice. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. Okay. Could I just invite you to spend about just 10 seconds to glance through this handout? Quite simple. Okay. Now, can you see on the left-hand side, can you spot the word input? Okay, and underneath input, can you see client stories and the 3 components there? Right? Key experience, behaviors, and feelings. Now, why is it that we have to listen to these 3 components? Now comes the reason. Now, if we were to pay attention to these 3 components, what happens? These 3 components will become input that will go into our brain. And our brain will start to process this 3 information. After processing, we can then produce an output, which is, in this case, a ROF statement. Can you see? Reflection of feeling statement. Now let me ask you, what is the first blank after the words you feel? It should be client's key feelings. I got it? Client's key feelings. What goes into the second blank after the word because? It could be behaviors, but more likely than not, it's probably key experience. So I say again, so what goes after the word because is the word client's key experience. What goes after the words you feel is client's key feelings. Are you all still with me? Yes. So what we're trying to do here is, we're trying to use the input to help us to formulate a ROF output statement. That's why input would always contribute to output. Simple example. Just now I shared with you a story of mine, isn't it? I said, this morning I went to work. What happens? My boss, for no reason, scolded me badly. I became very angry, threw a file at him, stormed out of the office. What was the key experience for me? Scolded by boss for no reason. Key feelings? Very angry. Behavior? Throw file, storm out. So if you were to be my counselor, you heard all this information from me. Now, you begin to process the information. What would be an RF statement that you can say to me? You can say, so Lawrence, you feel, or you felt very angry because you were scolded by your boss for no rhyme or reason. So can you see? The emphasis here is on you getting my feelings right. Let's say, if I were to be a typical Asian male, I only tell you, scolded by boss this morning, I throw foul, I storm out. I never tell you my feelings. What do? You can begin to infer from the key experience, the key behavior. Chances are, Lawrence probably felt angry. You can still say, oh, Lawrence, sounds like you felt rather angry because you're scolded by your boss for no reason. You can still do ROF on me as well. Okay, follow me, my friends. Okay, quickly. Could I invite you to go back to your groups? Good, good, huh? Good. Help me to, good. Coming to you to pass you my next handout. And we will do something to it. Okay, now, okay, pass out to you first, okay? Yeah, we'll talk more. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you very much. Come here. Okay. Can you can do that? Up to you. Okay, let me go back. Have it? Have it, nice. Should be coming around to you. Coming around to you. Estrus, coming around to you. Coming around to you. Coming around. Come, Estrus, come. Like, come. Here. All yours. A few. Okay, could I invite you to take a look at the handout? It will look kind of familiar to you. Same, but different. Oh, come. Okay, notice it's also a handout that contains case studies. Right? Now, notice carefully, my friends. If you turn over the page, notice that underneath each case study, there are now 4 blanks. Notice. We have what? Key experience, key behaviors, key feelings, and now, final blank, empathic highlight. Very simple, my friends. Empathic highlight just means ROF statement. I say again, empathic highlight just means ROF statement. Got it? So in a moment, as you can see on my screen, I would like all the groups to discuss case study number 2, 4, and 6. 2, 4, and 6. Try to discuss what is the client's key experience, key behavior, key feelings. After that, formulate a ROF statement to the client using the words you feel ... because ... All still with me? All my Zoomers, all clear? What to do? Okay, good. Come, over to you, Sylvia. Two, 4, and 6. Let me share screen. Share screen for you. Okay. Sorry, salah. Go back. Where are we? I'll go back. I want to go back. Okay. I'll go back. Okay. Share. Okay. This one, right? Got it. 2, 4, and 6. Okay. Let's see. Miss啊，miss 啥啦？miss 啥啦 ？I should try。我是选这个，选区哈，这样一样哦。OK， try 啊。OK，share。看到吗？
movie is like happiness is better when it's shared. Because like the guy tells the entire movie, then it's finally reached and it's like happiness is better when it's shared. And then get eaten by the.
Okay, thank you so much for doing that. Okay, let's talk about it, shall we? All right, all my Zoomers are back already. Okay, good. All right, let's take a look at case study 2 first, then 4, and then finally number 6. Okay, what seems to be the key experiences for this 66-year-old man? Okay. That's right, retirement is one. Right? Quite a few, isn't it? Retirement is one, wife died is the second, and children either married off or went college, isn't it? Now, you got it right. These are the 4 key experiences. No doubt about it, that's correct. Now, if I were to get you to think a bit deeper, what seems to be a common thread that connects these 4 key experiences together? A common thread. Spot on. Losses. I say again, if you look carefully, a common thread that connects these 4 experiences together is the thread called losses. Why do I say that? When we lose someone dear through death, what do you call that? Loss. When we retire, even though it's voluntary, more often than not, we also lose a part of ourselves. A part of, that's right, a part of our identity. When our children are married off or go far away for studies, even though they're still our children, there's still a sense of loss as well. Because nothing is ever the same again. You're not following me, my friends? So very important. So the common thread here is losses. Good. As a result of all these losses, what did this man do? Key behaviors, what did he do?
He starts rambling.
That's right. A lot of time, rambles around the house. Correct? What else?
He stares into an empty space outside the window.
Which means, what is he doing?
He might be remembering the passes where he was full of life.
That's right. He was reminiscing. He what? Reminiscing. Reminiscing about what? About the good old days where he was still employed. How do I know? As you can see from the case study, he said, you know, when I was working, there was a fullness to life. Guess what? He's reminiscing about the good old days when he was still working. Good, very nice. How about feelings? As a result of all these losses, feelings.
Emptiness.
That's right, spot on. Mira, why emptiness is the key? It's because the third line, he said, when I was working, there was a constant fullness. Opposite from fullness, emptiness. Very good, huh? Emptiness. Of course, the other feelings like lonely and all that, those are there. But in my opinion, emptiness is probably the key feeling over here. Good. If I happen to be this particular old man, what might be your ROF statement to me? To make me feel that you understand my feelings. So you will say to me, Lawrence, you feel?
Empty.
Empty because?
Because you lost all the things you cared about.
That's right, that's very nice.
That's
right.
super hard to say.
Yeah, not easy, is it? Yeah, you're right, right. So difficult, right? So you can say, so Lawrence, you are feeling a sense of emptiness because of the recent losses that's happened in your life. You can do that as well. That's right. But that to me is probably a very minor part of the story. The major part of the story is really about him experiencing these losses, basically. So I wanted that to be emphasized in this statement. Yeah. Sorry, again? Can that lead to what, sorry? Maybe a bit of contentment, maybe. But my hunch tells me the main part here is really experiencing the losses. The sadness, in my opinion. That's the key. Yeah. Oh, okay, you feel that otherwise, yeah. So no problem, we can disagree on that, no worries. Okay, continue. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4, Okay. First thing, the word invalid means what? Okay. Invalid means what? What does the word invalid means? Number 1, invalid doesn't mean died, still alive. Invalid basically means it could be bedridden, it could be paralyzed, right? But very much still alive. Good. So, what do you think is this man's key experience?
Excessive control.
So basically, right, experiencing mother trying to use illness to control him, isn't it? Right, so that seems to be the key experience. How about key behaviors? Kind of vague but it's there, isn't it? What did he say? Key behaviors. That's right. He tries to stand up to the mother. Don't know what that means but that seems to be a behavior no matter. Right? Good. How about key feelings? Anger. Sorry? Very good. Yeah. Trap is the key feeling here. Why do I say that? When someone tries to use something to control you, I think I will feel trapped. Why? If my mom used illness to control me, come on. If I attend to her, not that pleasing. If I don't attend to her, also cannot. What happens? I will feel trapped. I will feel as though I am held hostage whenever she uses her illness to control me. Good, very nice. Once again, if I happen to be this young man, what will be a ROF statement that you can say to me? Yeah, right. So Lawrence, you feel trapped because your mom has been trying to use her illness to control you. So that will be very nice. Guilty, possibly as well. Yeah, guilty. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but once again, I think trap is probably the main one for me. Yeah, because if I were to constantly be put through mom using illness, I think the predominant feeling is still probably trap for me. Yeah. Okay, number 6. Let's go down to number 6. Number 6 is what I call the Taiwanese drama. Wow, quite sad to be honest. Okay, what seems to be this young man's key experience? Why jabo after only a year of marriage without saying anything? Wow, that's really quite tragic, isn't it? Suddenly one fine day you wake up, wow, my wife's clothing all gone. In the flesh, she's out. No longer in my life. Wow, that's quite traumatic in my opinion. Good. As a result of this key experience, what did the man do? What did he do?
Ask himself questions.
That's right. He is speculating the reasons. How do I know that? Take a look at the study. He says, maybe I was so busy at work. Continue. I don't know if there is someone else. Continue. I really don't know why. Put the 3 together, what do you get? He is trying to speculate. How come? Why my wife suddenly leave me without a reason? Can you all follow me, my friends? Yeah. That seems to be one of the key behaviors here. Okay, good. How about feelings? If you are in his shoes, what might be some feelings that you will feel?
Confused.
That's right. What are the major ones? Confused. Why confused? How come? Why she left? Confused. No doubt about it, I'll feel confused. No doubt about it. Other feelings? Panic. I guess initially probably panic. But I noticed, right, the panic probably got transformed to another feeling. Take a look at the last line.
Numbness.
You can't make... I'm sorry?
Resentment.
That's right. You can't make someone love you. I don't know. This statement to me, right, could even be a feeling of resigned. It's like, alamak, she left without a reason. Here I am speculating why. You can't make someone love you. It's like giving up. It's like surrendering. It's like resigning to how things would be moving forward. Oh, good. Other feelings? I'm sure betrayed will be one as well. I would think so. Betrayed will be there. I'm sure disappointment will be also key as well, in my opinion. Yeah, so those are quite common. Okay, so if I happen to be this young man, I suppose your ROF statement should actually include more than one feeling in this case. Because if you only use one feeling, while it may hit some parts of how I'm feeling, it probably wouldn't hit at the other parts. So you may want to consider using more than one feeling word in your ROF statement. So what will you say to me? If I were to be if you are to be this young man.
You resign because
Okay.
you had no proper closure.
Okay, no proper closure. Okay, with regards to your wife's leaving, okay, do that. Good. Okay. Other questions? You want to add in more than one emotive word. Yeah. Consumers, if you were to say to me an RF statement, how will you say to me?
Confused, disappointed. You feel
Okay, that's right.
confused, disappointed because of your wife who left you.
That's right. Very nice. So you can say to me, so Lawrence, you are feeling a sense of confusion and disappointment because your wife left you suddenly without a reason. That'll be very nice. Good. Thanks, Eugene. Okay. So last point. Rule of thumb. When you are doing ROF statement, try to keep the number of feeling words to maximum 3. If you can, because if you go beyond 3, after a while, the client feel overwhelmed. Wow, you feel A, B, C, D, E, F. What am I feeling? Also, after a while, overwhelmed. But usually for me, right, I will keep it to either 1 feeling or possibly 2. Sometimes I will extend to 3, sometimes. But usually for me, it's 1 or 2, more often than not. All right. Behavior, speculating the reason why wife left him for no reason, basically. Okay, so sorry to hold you back. Okay. All right, next week, come back together. Wow, exciting time. I will play for you our 3rd song together. The 3rd song, if you happen to be an American Idol fan, you will probably know this song. We'll get to that next week. So also watch a long extended video and we'll talk about questions and role plays and whatever not. Good week. See you guys next Wednesday. Thank you so much. Thank you. Zoomers, take care. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.